Good evening. Today I have some Lego Star Wars because I am celebrating a very special anniversary today. Today is the 3-year anniversary of the day I was in Galaxy's Edge at Disney World. I thought about doing a special where I bring in all my Galaxy's Edge merch and then do the Lego set. That would be R3EV, my original lightsaber, the Elemental Nature green one, and a couple other things, a couple other merch and souvenirs that I got in Galaxy's Edge. But I had technical difficulties getting streamed together, and I didn't feel like dealing with all the extra stuff. And besides, there's already a video on my YouTube channel. If you go into my Star Wars playlist, there's a video where I talk about Galaxy's Edge in depth. And I show R3EV, and I show the lightsaber, and there's some lightsaber videos on my channel from before the move. In my current setup, I can't really do the lightsaber videos, but I've been wanting to get, I've been wanting to do like one for the memories, so we'll see if I can figure something out for that. But maybe when I save up and get the parts for the Generation 2 lightsabers, maybe we'll do a lightsaber vid then for the assembly of those. That might be how I do it, but that's probably a next year project at this point. That's still quite a ways off. And you did see I showed you the build process for a Galaxy's Edge droid. I showed you that on the channel just a couple months ago for Star Wars Week. So check out that video if you want to check out a Galaxy's Edge droid. But like I said, I got a very special Lego set for to celebrate my Galaxy's Edge anniversary. Out of the hundreds of playscale Star Wars ships that Lego Star Wars has released over the years, there has only been one Lego set ever released based on content from Galaxy's Edge, and it's a retired set, so I had to pay a little extra for it. But it's sitting in front of me right now, and we're gonna build it. Let me show you. So this is the Resistance transport featured in the Rise of the Resistance ride. Rise of the Resistance is probably one of the most technically complex rides the Imagineers ever built. It's probably my favorite ride at Disney World. And this ship is the Resistance ship you board at the beginning after Rey gives you the hologram briefing. And then you board this Resistance ship to go on a mission. And this is the ship that gets captured by the Star Destroyer. And then you get queued again to go onto the actual main portion of the ride inside the Star Destroyer. But this is the Resistance transport. And you can see it comes with 4 figures. V. Marati, who is a character they created for the Galaxy's Edge backstory. They created her to be a walk-around character in the Resistance space area of Galaxy's Edge. She's in all the background novels and comics for Galaxy's Edge as one of the founders of the Resistance base on Batuu. Lieutenant Beck, he's the pilot of the Resistance transport in the ride. He's in the ride, he's an audio animatronic character, one of Disney's many robot characters and attractions. And he's a Mon Cal, the race that's famous for Admiral Akbar. It's a trap, and Admiral Raddus, amongst others. The Mon Cals are pretty popular Rebel and Resistance characters. So that's Lieutenant Beck, the pilot. It comes with this black astromech droid. I'm not sure the backstory of this particular droid, but I think he's one of the First Order black R-Series astromechs that the Resistance reprogrammed to serve as agents, because there is a whole storyline where the Resistance has infiltrated the First Order by reprogramming some of the First Order's black astromech droids. And also a standard Gonk power droid. The Gonk droids are kind of a big deal in LEGO Star Wars, but this will be my first one. Actually, one of the sets in my build queue has a slightly modified version of a Gonk droid, so I'm gonna have a second Gonk Droid soon. Um, but this is a fairly standard Gonk Droid. Gonk Droids are something they frequently do in the Advent calendar and dress them up in holiday themes. It's pretty cool what they do with the Star Wars characters in the Advent calendar. I actually have two of the Christmas sweater characters for Lego Star Wars, not from the Advent calendar, but the Rey and the Finn that came in the Millennium Falcon Christmas diorama a couple of years ago. That was a fun set. Anyway, so this is the this is the only set they ever made based on Galaxy's Edge, and let me show you up close to the camera. There's a little Galaxy's Edge seal in the corner. It says, let me see. It says transported from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Trading Outpost. And then there's some Aurebesh, tiny Aurebesh under the where it says Star Wars. I don't know if you can see that, but the tiny Aurebesh says Batuu, which is the name of the planet that Galaxy's Edge is set on. Batuu is an interesting planet. It's reminiscent of Tatooine and Navarro and other Outer Rim spaceports like those. And there's a nice cantina. There's an interesting shop full of weird ancient stuff. There's a First Order base. There's a Resistance camp. Did I mention the cantina? There's also the hidden lightsaber workshop and a droid workshop. So they've got all sorts of cool stuff there. And Hondo Ohnaka, the famous smuggler, runs an operation. He runs a smuggling operation with the Millennium Falcon as its centerpiece, as his main ship. I hear Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Grogu have also become active in Batuu. So that was after my visit, though. So I don't know about their presence there, but it seems to be going around that they have a presence there, and that they may actually be taking over Hondo Ohnaka's Millennium Falcon next year. So we'll see what happens with that. So anyways, but I've talked a lot already. So here's the front of the box. There is some glare on the box, but that won't be a thing once we open it up. Shouldn't have any effect on the pieces. It's a big box, that's why I'm having trouble getting on camera. As is customary, I'm showing the back of the box. You can see it's set in front of the cave. It's similar to the queuing area for the ride, this little backdrop they put here. Obviously, you don't see any Disney queue lines. That's all a theme park thing. In universe, you wouldn't have queue lines there, but you can see the characters standing around it. You can see insets showing some of the play features, internal transport area, stud shooters, loading door. This one shows the cockpit with Lieutenant Beck sitting inside. And it says, there's a badge here on the box also. Play it in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Find the secret code to unlock this ship. I would assume that the secret code is somewhere in the instruction book. So yeah, I didn't know that they had sets that interact with the LEGO Star Wars game. Before I break the seal, while we're on the subject of Galaxy's Edge, one more little thing to show you. I have the Blue Milk Luke Skywalker minifigure. I've showed this on stream before. He's an exclusive minifigure. He was a polybag minifigure, so he didn't come with a build. But he has that little blue milk drink carton that he's holding. And I can't get the camera to focus on it because it's so tiny. But that blue milk print brick is like $15 on its own on Bricklink. I looked it up before the stream. It's insane because that little brick is exclusive to this minifigure, and this minifigure had a limited release. And you can see he's got blue milk. He's got a blue milk mustache. So that's my blue milk figure. The reason I bring him up is because blue milk is a big deal in Batuu, and I'm actually going to have him sit with the characters when we do our character spread. So this is a set, one of the bigger boxes that uses tape instead of push tabs. So let me cut it open real quick. All right, it's open, and there should be 8 numbered bags. I looked up at the instructions. I looked a little bit at the instructions to see what I could expect in terms of bags. So it's about the same size physically as the Onyx Cinder we did a few weeks ago. I saw a review of the Onyx Cinder in which he did a size comparison with random ships, and this was one of them. There was also, even though it's about the same size physically, it's about 300 pieces less. So the build is probably not quite as substantial. Let me get these bags in order real quick. And once we have, here's bag 1. So, alright, there's 7. 6. 5. Each bag doesn't look too terribly substantial. This should be a relatively smooth build to get through. Considering the size of the ship, the instruction book doesn't have all that much of a high page count. So here's bag 1 in front of us. Here they got the instruction book in plastic wrap here. I've never actually seen that. I've seen instruction books in those cardboard packets before, but not a plastic bag, so that's kind of interesting. It's a pretty big instruction book, comparable to the Onyx Cinder in terms of its weight. You know what we do with our instructions here, though. We're not using this copy of the book. And we have our little sticker sheet. It has 9 stickers on it. So not too terrible for a ship this size. That's actually not many at all. So 9 stickers on our sticker sheet. We have bag 1. You can see we have a little brick separator in there, right there. So I didn't need to pull a spare. Let's get Luke out to watch the build and enjoy his blue milk. Because blue milk is a big deal in Galaxy's Edge. You can actually get, there's 2 different places you can get blue milk. There's a milk stand next to the First Order base where you can get either blue milk or the green milk that Luke drinks in The Last Jedi. Fans prefer the blue milk, though. The green milk, I've heard, is kind of an acquired taste. But the blue milk there is pretty popular. And then in Oga's Cantina, they have a blue milk as well. And at the cantina, you can actually get a version of the blue milk that's spiked with alcohol. You can't get that at the milk stand. The Oga's Cantina version of blue milk, I don't know if they still do this, but they did it at the time I went there, also came with a cookie. Not at the milk stand, though. Batuu, on the other end of Batuu in the marketplace, there's also a popcorn stand, but they only sell this weird spicy mix of like blue alien popcorn, and my nephew got some. I didn't really like it. Okay, so we got bag 1 open. Oh, I forgot to pull up the instructions. So let's get the instructions pulled up, and then we will proceed with bag 1. We need to come here. We got our instructions. And you can see this ship shares many design similarities in its basic shape and structure with Corellian-style transports. Ships like the Republic Cruiser from the beginning of Episode 1, or the Tantive 4 from the beginning of the original movie. It's part of the Corellian transport family of transport ships, clearly. from its design. But obviously, it's different from those two ships. It's its own thing. But it's from the same general design family of ships. There's lots of cool different design families of ships throughout Star Wars. This will be my second big ship next to the Onyx Cinder, and by the end of the year, I'm planning to also have the Dark Falcon. And there's a really cool ship I'll be adding next month. There's a really cool ship I'm getting from the August wave. It's a surprise. So we'll put the separator behind the figures like we always do, sticker sheet, ready for when we need it. You can see the instructions for the separator here. And this shows you how to scan the code on the cover of the book to get to the Play Store, the Play app instructions. So it looks like we're going to start with a Technic frame like many Star Wars big ships do. And then after we get the Technic frame, we're going to start putting on bits of the structure and the outer shell until the ship is complete. That's the general build progression for most Star Wars big ships. So it looks like bag one starts with our first character, which is V Marati, who I told you a little bit about at the beginning of stream when we were going over the characters. Yeah, she is a character that was made to be a walk-around character at the Resistance Space portion of Black Spire Outpost and Galaxy's Edge. But she was given a lot of backstory in the novels and comics. Let's see here. She has a worried look and a more action look. Let's go with. I'm just gonna show you. I'm not sure if it'll show up well on camera. She's got a darker skin tone, and my camera doesn't like to focus on those too much. So there's one of her faces, and there's her more serious action face. I think because this is just a transport and they're all good guy characters for today, I think we don't need to go full out action face. We'll just leave her neutral face for today. And I guess I gotta give her the hair and the blaster. V Marati is one of the more unique character designs in Star Wars when it comes to good guys. Of course, bad guys, they have all those cool helmets and dark costumes and stuff. But the good guys, V Marati looks awesome. And that's kind of rare for the good guys to be cool looking. But she's got this two-tone hair and yeah. So there's V. Full look. She's got a blaster. And it's cool that the instructions show her blaster in the left hand, making her a lefty for purposes of the set. Because usually the instructions tell you to put the blaster in the right hand. So I don't know if she's actually a lefty, if that's canon or not, or if that's even been established, but that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and start the build. So we're starting with a Technic frame. And with Technic, you gotta be really careful and pay attention to what you're doing. Because if you make a mistake with Technic, you have to like undo half your work. in order to fix it. Technic has two main uses in a regular system set, which is to build frameworks and to do action features. But I think for this particular, in a lot of Star Wars ships, it's used for both of those purposes. But I think in this particular set, it's just used for framework because the Corellian style transports, unlike many Star Wars ships, don't actually have moving wings and engines. That's like a Star Wars cliche, moving wings and engines, but it's not a thing for this class of ships. Okay, lots of pins going into this brick here. Technic is used for frameworks because the pin structure makes them a lot sturdier than regular system bricks. When I go quiet during a LEGO stream, that means I'm concentrating on the build. And when Technic is in play, I need more concentration. Because, like I said, Technic mistakes are actual disasters. It's hard to come back from a Technic mistake. Yeah, this doesn't look like much of anything yet, but you need a big sturdy framework for ship model as a whole to work. So these internal structural bits are every bit as important as the actual surface appearance of the ship. Okay. Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting positioning for our hinge bases. It'd be interesting to see what we do with these. Why there's hinge bases here in the middle of the framework. Hinges are often used in structural areas that don't really move. Hinges are often used to create precise angles. So this could be for some of the outer plating later, or it could be for internal structural bits that need to be a specific angle. I guess we'll find out soon. And we're coming to our first little assembly. Yeah, doesn't look like much of anything yet, but you can see it's starting to build up some nice size. You can see this is going to be a bigger ship just by the size of the framework. Because covering the framework is going to add much more substance and bulk to what you see already. And it's already pretty long. Okay. So this one will go here on the end. Okay, that goes there. Let's see. This needs to be lined up properly so we can secure that. There we go. That one is secured to the Technic piece inside. We need to secure the one on this side as well. There we go. And then we just have some more pins back here. Okay. And now we got our first bit of actual system pieces here. Non-Technic, I should say. So this will be the beginnings of the interior. Yeah, that's probably the beginnings of the main interior transport section. Like many Star Wars ships, it's a mainly gray ship, but this one has splashes of bright blue, which makes it nice and colorful. It's a nice break from... Actually, all my ships except one get away from being the plain gray. One of the ships... no, two of my ships. It really doesn't matter. Gray is the dominant color scheme in Star Wars ships. Sometimes black. Stupid pop-up just appeared. We're almost done with bag one. And it looks like we're getting the beginnings of some underside shaping going on here. Okay, so this lines up here, it looks like, with where the separation of the two Technic bricks is. So underside detailing, or structuring, or attachment points, not sure yet. We'll see how this ship evolves. We do have these clip pieces. I'm guessing these are where the doors to the transport area are going to clip on. And bag one is complete. So let's get bag two out. Bag two is going to be more of the frame. It looks like the frame for the middle part of the ship. There's one really special, exclusive Lego Star Wars figure that I wanted to get in time for tonight, but because I had issues with my budget, the work disappeared unexpectedly for an extended period of time, and I was unable to secure the order for that figure in time. But I did finally place the order for that figure last night, so I'll show that one off on a future Lego Star Wars stream. Oh, here's one of those A-frame plates. You don't see these every day, but I've done a few sets that have had these. They're a big part of the structure in the roof for the Jurassic Park Visitor Center, for example. And I think I did a Mario set that used them extensively. I wonder what this is going to be given the unusual shape. I wonder what part of the ship this will make. There's more Technic going. That's gonna be, yeah. This is gonna be another bag that has a lot of Technic in it. But I'm also starting to see some more system going on here. And here's the stud pins that turn Technic hole bricks into studs on side bricks. Okay, so it looks like the A-frame was used for precise angling and shaping, because it looks like this section is going to be put on sideways. Looks like it goes in here. So yeah, we're starting to set up some of the shaping for the side of the ship now. And I guess we got to do another one of those sections for the other side of the ship. Oh, I just bumped the table and knocked our characters over. Interesting. Some more hinge bases are going to go on this section. So after we finish building the set, I will have 4 R-Series astromech droids, none of which are R2-D2, the original. I have the QTKT from the Rebel and Imperial Speeders Battle Pack that came out last year, and I have the Tatooine Battle Pack that came out with Jawas and a Tusken Raider and an R astromech, and there is a also in my collection the ARC 170 with the clone pilots. Came with a astromech. That was a fun build. That's got a really cool Technic feature that I built wrong and had to like disassemble half the bag and start over because but the ARC 170 has the new ARC 170 has that really cool play feature. You flip a little lever on the bottom of the ship and it opens the wings automatically. I did the U-wing that night too, but the U-wings, the U-wing also has opening wings, but those are manual only. There is no play feature for automated wings on the U-wing. The way the U-wing is designed, I don't think the LEGO designers could have made a working play feature for it because of the way those wings open. Maybe if they ever did a UCS-sized U-wing, but that ship is probably not well known enough to get a UCS. But if they, at that size class, I'm sure the designers could figure out a way to make the wings open automatically. But but not at play scale. It's just the way the U-wings is the U-wing is designed. You can't do those wings automatically. There's just no way to engineer that given the size constraints, I don't think. Alright, enough about this ship that's not in front of you, because I'm sure I'm rambling about a ship that's not in front of us, so I'm sure a lot of you don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. Okay, so this section will attach. Oh yeah, so we're beginning to create the framework bits for the sides of the ship. You'll be able to see more clearly what I'm doing once I do the two little sections for the camera facing side of the ship. Actually, I need to be able to see what I'm doing, so I have to turn this around anyway. You can see these two little structural sections we attached. And they sit at that angle because of the A-frames they're based on. The A-frame plates. So you can see the beginnings of shapings for the sides of the ship. Alright, let's get back to this section now. Some more of these stud pins. The stud pins are such a clever technique of combining technique with system. So we'll plug that into the side there. And now we need one more of those A-frame sections. We've only got about 100 pages of instructions left. So I'm guessing once we finish the structure and we start surfacing the ship, I have a feeling things are going to go really quickly at that point. Well, maybe not quickly, but this is definitely not going to take as long as the Onyx Cinder did. It's a comparable ship in size, but that ship also had a lot more pieces. This one probably has a simpler surface detail. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing to be smoother surface detail either. Because when you have so much greebling like the Onyx Cinder had, little bits can fall off if you're not handling it carefully. The Onyx Cinder is a pretty sturdy build, but little surface bits do. And other ships like it, little surface bits can fall off during play and handling. Alright, where is that piece? Not hiding under the frame. Okay, I'm not seeing one of my pieces in the parts pile. I'm trying to see if it went under something. There it is. It did go under something. I know I haven't been streaming a lot recently. I do have a lot of projects planned for my stream queue. We're going to revive Morrowind on this channel. I have some ideas for that. I do want to get back into doing some music streams once in a while. Um, and I'll be introducing a pinball game into the gaming streams soon. But I want to secure a few more of the DLC tables for that game first. Alright, this is a 2x build, but it's a same page 2x build, so I'll be able to attach it right away. Interesting. This little structural bit includes the window frame piece. Okay, so I need to be looking at the ship from this direction again, apparently. It's not as clear how it lines up on that side, but I would assume it matches positioning somewhat. Alright, let's get the other little sections put together. We've been streaming just under an hour, and we've already got a substantial frame here. I think we're making good progress. We're starting to move away from Technic now and towards straight system. So we're mostly done with the framing stuff, I guess, and pretty soon we'll be working on surfacing. But we've still got bits of the frame left to do. Okay then. These are actually blocking off those sideways hinge pieces we put on earlier. I wonder what the point of using hinge pieces for those was then, and not straight bricks. Maybe they were just meant to be spacers. Interesting. But yeah, those hinge bases are blocked. There's no way anything's going to be put on those now with these bits of frame in place. Okay, We have a 4x, but again, same page. So this is a 4x that will go quickly. I just need to see how these go on. Okay. Two done. All right, just need to do one more of those little bits. I think it's cool that I'm finally starting a collection of Star Wars play ships. I was resisting doing that at first because there's so many of them, and it would have been overwhelming with all the other Lego stuff I wanted to collect. But now, I'm making that an active part of my Lego collection. In addition to all the play scale ships, I also have an assortment of less substantial uh, ground vehicles, mostly from battle packs. But I do want to get a few of the play scale sets of some of the ground vehicles as well. There's some pretty iconic ground vehicles in Star Wars. It's not just about the spaceships. So yeah, it looks like we're building up um, some more of the skeleton for the central section of the ship. And then the next bag, I think, is when we start to see details. Okay, we have a 2x build, but it's a single page 2x build. So we'll build one, and then we'll build the other, and then when we turn the page, we'll be able to attach them. Okay. There's one. Now we just got to build that up again. looks like these bits of frame are going to attach onto these little pins here. Yeah. So yeah, some more of the framing for the central transport area. So yeah, this central frame is nice and strong the way it's got all these Technic connections layered with other pieces. Yay. So I'm enjoying this build so far. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this frame turns into the ship we saw on the box, because it doesn't look like it doesn't look like anything like it yet, but it will. I think you'll like the next. Well, you'll like this ship too, but I think you'll really like the next Lego Star Wars ship that I plan to build. It's not quite out yet. We gotta wait a few more weeks for it. I'm trying to make sure I have budget for opening week on that one. And I have some more nice Mario streams in the queue. And I do have a Just for Fun stream that doesn't really fit into any of my regular categories, but a couple of sets that I thought looked cool. Yeah, there's a. I'll be adding. I'll be adding another Lego. I'll be adding another vehicle to my collection of city vehicles, and I have a promo set to do on that stream as well. First use of our sticker sheet. Okay, I have to do this carefully because we already attached the pieces. Oh, there's some Aurebesh on this sticker arrangement. Please allow me to go to Google and look up this Aurebesh because I want to know what it's saying. Oh, those Those stickers are not aligned quite properly. Let's put this one. No, that sticker's crooked now. It's harder to put stickers on after you've already done the piece, after you already have a piece on the model. However, when stickers are right next to each other on pieces that are adjacent and they need to be lined up properly, you can't really do that before you put those pieces on the model together. I'm not going to worry about looking up the Aurebesh, but those are the stickers we just put on the side of the ship. You can see this logo here, and then a marking over here. Looks like the number 28 and some Aurebesh text below it. Alright. It looks like we're putting in some... We have this piece, which is part tile, part plate. It's got studs around the edges, but tile smooth in the middle. And it looks like it goes down here on the A-frame side studs. So we got the very beginnings of our shell detail right around the transport door. And I would assume that the rest of this bag is doing the same couple steps on the other side. Yeah, the stickers are the same, so I'm not going to show the stickers again because you just saw them. I'm just going to put them on, do what I'm supposed to do. It's the same insignia and logos that we saw on that I just showed you from the other side. So let me just get these stickers on. Let's try and do them correctly this time. Let's see, did I? Yeah. And with that, we're only a quarter of the way bags in, but we're almost halfway through the instruction book, and we've only got 3 stickers left on the sheet. We just used up 6 of our 9 stickers on this last little bit of assembly here. And then I just got to put these 2 little pieces on here onto those A-frame bits. And we go into bag 3. And in bag 3, we get to meet our pilot, Lieutenant Beck, the Mon Cal. Bag 3 doesn't look too substantial. In fact, most of the bags look kind of small from here on. Lieutenant Beck also is holding his blaster in his left hand. So either they're both lefties or Lego's making that up. I don't know if canonicity hand preference for many side characters is actually established. I don't think that's really a thing that gets considered. Alright, let's put Lieutenant Beck together. And being an alien character, he has a molded head. So just the one face. But it's got some cool printing and texturing on it. I like this figure. And actually, remember I mentioned earlier that I have another set that's going to have a Gonk droid that I'll build later this summer? That set also has another Mon Cal in it. Different color head, though, I think. There's Lieutenant Beck, the pilot of the transport. He's a fun character in the ride. We're going to start with a little side assembly. So this is getting massive, so I'll set it off when we're not directly working on it. So that you can see when I do the builds of the side assemblies here. Yeah, there's not a lot going on in bag 3 here. Okay, this is a little one of those seating panels. In the last couple of years, they've been implementing studless seating panels, which is an interesting development because apparently if you seat a figure on studs for too long, you can warp the legs, is what I read why they started doing that. So it's kind of interesting that they were able to come up with a way to do studless seating panels that are still secure. I think after this bag, we're going to do our bio break because we'll be at about the halfway point of the instructions after this bag. Actually, we'll be past the halfway point of the instructions after this bag. And we're going to get another sticker by the time we finish this page. Okay, this section wants me to put a sticker on the inside of a panel. Okay, so we're actually building the cockpit now because this is definitely looks like a control screen, kind of a view screen of some kind. Looks like a little bit of console bits and a view screen. That's what we got there. There's a little view screen. Looks like a star map, actually. They've got the star map on the view screen currently. Looks like they're getting ready to make a hyperspace jump. You can see the little stars around the user interface there. This will go into here. Like that. This looks like it's just the interior of the cockpit section because the exterior bit of the cockpit doesn't look anything like this. Did I miss a layer somewhere? Yes, I did. Okay. So this is supposed to have this in there. Now I can put the holes. Now I can put it back together. Let's make sure I have it facing the correct direction, else it won't fit. Now, if I do that, now everything lines up correctly. So yeah, this doesn't look like the main cockpit section on the box. So I'm guessing this is an interior play version sheet cockpit, so that you can put a minifigure in there. We do have some bracketing going on the front here, so I'm guessing that's where we're going to actually put in the exterior shaping for this bit. I'm so glad to finally be doing a collection of Lego Star Wars play ships. I actually have, I think there's 3 different sets I want to, yeah, there's 2 bigger ships I want to be adding into my collection soon. The Dark Falcon and another one that we'll see if I can budget for before the end of the year. I'm not going to reveal that one until I actually get it, though. Let's make sure I'm using the correct pieces. Some pieces look similar, but have opposite studding, because they're meant for reverse sections, some on top, some on bottom. Okay, so it looks like this goes on over here. And we're doing another assembly here. So yeah, I'm gonna need to take a short break after this bag. Now let's make sure we're using the correct pieces here. This could be some of the exterior detailing to make it look like what it's supposed to look like on the outside. That's my best guess anyway, because it's got these dark transparent pieces that would represent the viewport area on a ship at this scale. We're definitely going at this a bit quicker than I would have anticipated, given we're at the halfway point of the instructions already. And we've been streaming less than an hour and a half. And I talked a bunch before we started. So yeah, we're making good time today. Okay, yeah, so now this section is starting to look like the front of the box. Okay, I see what it's doing now. So yeah, this is the exterior detailing for the cockpit here, or at least the front detailing. It's got those little pods on the sides that are probably in a later bag, because I don't see the pieces for those bits here in front of me right now. Okay, how does this attach? Okay, so it shows those being, yeah. Yeah, I think that's how it lines up, is like that. Okay, so that secures that into the frame then. Okay, so the cockpit is secured to the frame, and then we have this one red axle that goes in, and another layer of securing to the frame. Okay, so yeah, that cockpit isn't going anywhere. It's firmly secured now. And then we have just a little bit left on bag 3, and then we're going to go on a quick stretching and bio break. Never underestimate the importance of a good break, stretch break, on a long stream. I don't need a snack this break, but I do need a water. I need to get some water and stretch. It'll be a few minutes like it usually is. So this goes on top of the frame here. Okay. Did I miss a whole step or something? Because I'm seeing a bunch of plates and grills in front of me. Hold on. Yeah. I did miss a bunch of action here. So, but I see exactly where they go. This one, it's an easy fix, because I see exactly where everything is meant to go. It would have been easier if I had caught that and done it correctly the first time before attaching this little section, but it's no biggie. Alright, so here's where we open bag 4, and bag 4 is where we're going to get the Gonk droid, but we're not going to start bag 4 yet, so let's take a little break here. Oh, here's, I'll leave the skeleton of the ship on camera so you can see where we are during the break. That's what the front of the cockpit section looks like. The exterior without the side pods. You can see how it's portraying a different scale from the outside than it's portraying from the inside. That's what the inside of it looks like. I can't get that view screen on camera anymore though. Yeah, there's no way that view screen is going to get on camera. But looks like the frame of the ship is mostly done, and I can see from the instructions bag 4 is going to be the side pods for the cockpit, and the front of the ship is going to start to look more complete after we do bag 4. So there's that. We have our 3 characters out. Our sticker sheet only has 2 stickers left on it, and when I come back from break, we'll be getting our Gunk Droid. I'll see you in a few minutes. It seems during my break the camera got bumped because it's not straight anymore. I couldn't orient the table straight, so let's try this again. Better. Okay. Bag 4. And we're starting with the Gonk Droid, so we'll take the skeleton of the ship off screen for a little bit. And this Gonk Droid's color scheme seems to match Lieutenant Beck's uniform top. Based on this inset picture, let's bring the instructions back up. Based on this inset picture, it looks like bag 4 is going to be the side pods for the exterior detailing of the cockpit area. And then the last 4 bags, I guess, are just filling in the exterior detailing for the rest of the ship. Because Gonk Droids use standard pieces, rather than minifigure parts, I don't really consider them to be figures, but it's listed as such, and it's like the Mario characters, so I guess it counts. In Galaxy's Edge itself, the real place, they actually do have a Gonk Droid on display, though I don't think it's in the Resistance area. I think it's over at the Droid Depot. But there is, outside the Droid Depot, a row of droids on display. Sometimes they actually move when it's not storming in Florida. And I think one of those droids is a Gonk. Can't swear to that exact location, but I know there's a Gonk droid on display there. Let's build both these little legs and then I'll attach them. This ship is definitely a lot more symmetrical than the other one we built here, the Onyx Cinder. But remember, that was a pirate ship. That was a unique craft, heavily modified by the original Captain Raynar. Did they say his name was? The ancient pirate who piloted that ship originally, or captained that ship originally. This is a fairly standard build ship, and standard ships are more symmetrical than custom ships. Like the Millennium Falcon is a heavily customized ship. You know that thing isn't symmetrical. The Rogue Shadow from Force Unleashed, not symmetrical. But most Star Wars ships are symmetrical. So that's the end of the Gonk Droid. Funny how his final appearance on the page is him upside down, but here's what he looks like. We'll go ahead and set him with the characters. And I'll bring the ship skeleton back when there's something to attach. But at that point, I'll probably leave it on for the duration of the bag. Okay. Let's keep going with our little build here. So yeah, my Lego collection is growing extensively. You can see a lot of it on my YouTube channel. I have several Lego playlists at this point. I know I advertise this as a variety stream, but really Lego's pretty much taken over the last year or so. Oh, wow. And actually, I've got enough Lego experience now, even with some more technically complex sets I've done a few of. So, might be time to start going into studio and working on some custom models. I've had like 5 or 6 custom projects that I've kind of been workshopping in my head for a while. I guess it's time to think about making them actually happen. Probably 2026 we'll start doing that. I kind of want to take things relatively easy when it comes to Lego for the rest of the year. We have the existing build queue. There's a bunch of things coming out in August that I'm planning to do on stream as well. So, and like I said, I want to bring music back to the stream. I want to bring gaming back to the stream. There's a lot of options for what I can do when I don't have a Lego build queue. And my first piece eating of the evening. We got we got past the halfway point of the build before that happened though, so it's unusual for us to get this far into a build before that happens. So far we're actually doing pretty good tonight. It just slipped out of my fingers the way the piece eatings usually happen. Sometimes pieces decide to, no matter how well I'm gripping them, sometimes pieces just randomly decide to slip from my fingers. Alright, let's get back behind the table. Better chance of catching them if it happens again. Alright. Okay, so now we bring our skeleton back, and this little pod thing attaches to the side. Orientation does matter though, so I want to make sure I face it correctly. And this goes onto here. Those pins go into the holes in the sides of the cockpit like that. And now I need to, I need to build the one for the other side. I do see some stud shooters in this parts pile. So we'll have, this bag will complete the cockpit area of the ship, and then the last few bags will be about surfacing the rest of the ship. And of course the ship's going to need engines before it's done. Engines usually come late in the build with LEGO Star Wars ships. We're still less than 2 hours into stream. We're making good time with this build. I like when bigger sets go together reasonably quickly. But again, I am enjoying the process. It's fun to watch a pile of parts turn from nothing into something. And then the bigger, more complex the build is, the more satisfying it gets. Theoretically, I do have one LEGO Star Wars set in the queue, a small one. And depending on how I feel... No, I don't think I'm going to do a bonus build tonight. I'll save that for another night. This is already going to be close to 3 hours by the or it is going to be at 3 hours by the time we finish, so you can see how much of the ship we still have left to do. So no bonus builds tonight. But that said, this is still going together so far a lot quicker than I anticipated it would. And like I said, we're past the halfway point in the instructions. It should be pretty quick to fill out the details of the rest of the ship. We have 3 of our 4 characters as well. Remember, Luke was extra. Blue Milk Guy, he's not part of the set. I just brought him out because he's relevant to Galaxy's Edge. I'm almost certain that next week's LEGO stream is going to be one of... I still have 6 streams, and I have 6 LEGO Mario streams in my build queue right now. And there's some new LEGO Mario coming out in the August wave. So there's definitely going to be a lot more LEGO Mario coming. The August wave also includes the first ever appearance of Wario in Lego Mario, so that's going to be really exciting. In his set, he's paired with King Boo, who we have seen 3 times before. We've already done all 3 of the King Boo sets that currently exist, but King Boo is a cool character. It'll be cool to get another one. Some of the sets in the August wave are an expansion to the Mario Kart that they introduced at the beginning of the year, and some of the sets in the August wave are regular Mario stuff. So I think there's a smaller version of Bowser's Castle coming out as well. Alright, so let me put this where I can focus on what I'm doing here. So yeah, this pins into this side of the cockpit like that. And you can see what it looks like now with the side pods attached. You can see big holes in the side pods. That's where the stud shooters are going to go. This is a 1-page 2x for the stud shooter assemblies. But the ammo for the stud shooters isn't actually included in this bag. It's probably in the last bag. So we're not going to bother with the testing we usually do. We're just going to create our little cannons and attach them, and that'll be that. With them already on the ship, I'm probably not going to run tests later when we do get the ammo. It's going to be too much hassle, I think. Alright, so there's one cannon turret, and now we just got to put together the other one, and that will be the end of bag 4. We still have somewhere in here the Astromech droid. This will be my first black Astromech droid in Lego. Oh, I didn't show you what it looks like. So this is what our little turret cannon looks like. Stud shooters. And these will plug in to the side pods of the cockpit like this. Pretty much all the Star Wars play scale ships have some form of firing weapon. Some of them it's the stud shooters. Others have the flick fire missiles. Okay. Let's get the spare bits off. No Astromech in bag 5. It looks like bag 5, we're going to fill in the rest of the surfacing for this front area. That's the best I can tell from the inset picture. So let's get bag 5 out. I'm trying to keep as much of the action on camera as possible, so it makes sense to keep the ship out at this point. But let me put the bulk of the ship behind the instructions until we need it, so that we can have the main camera table area focused for assemblies. And then when we attach stuff to the ship, we'll bring it back we'll bring it back visible again. But I want to keep everything on screen at this point. So it looks like we're going to start with all the surface detailing now. Today's the day that family comes home from vacation, so I think we're planning to attempt a visit on Monday. There's a little bit of Technic going on here, but Technic is to be expected for some of these attachments, considering that the frame itself is a lot of Technic. I've also started to make plans for Lego Animal Crossing. So Lego Mario, Lego Speed Champions, more Lego Star Wars, Lego Animal Crossing. That's what you have to look forward to for the Lego on this channel the next couple months. And there's a really nice set coming out in August that I'm planning to do for my Halloween stream this year. So I'm gonna try and secure that to the queue early so it's ready to go when Halloween rolls around. Hey, we're about to finish the sticker sheet. And these stickers, it does let me put on before I put the piece on. It doesn't really matter so much here because these stickers aren't going to line up against any. These stickers aren't going to be seen at the same time, so, and they don't really line up with any other critical details either. So here it's okay to put the stickers on before we put the piece on, which is actually easier, like I said, than putting the sticker on after you put the piece on the build. It's situational whether it's better to put the sticker on before or after. But let me put them on and then I'll show you the stickers. This is a bit earlier in the build than we usually finish a sticker sheet. And it says ZZ on the stickers. That's not Aurebesh when everything else on the ship is. So I'm not sure these are meant to be the letter Z. They might just meant to be decoration. I'm not really sure, but that's what the sticker looks like. And there's one on each side. Our empty sticker sheet. We are done with stickers for tonight. I almost didn't get to stream this on time. By that, I mean today. I've been planning the stream for a few months, once I learned there was one Galaxy's Edge Lego set. I'd been planning to do this stream for months on the actual anniversary. And then I was sick all week. And I thought I might have to postpone till tomorrow. But I felt better today, so here we are. You know, it'd be really cool though, is if they released a set based on the First Order shuttle that's parked in the First Order base. Because that's a really cool, unique ship, and it's not in any of the movies or shows. I'd really like to get a Lego set of that. I'll wait a few more years and see if they make it for, like, we've already passed the 5th anniversary. If they don't do the TIE Echelon from the First Order base for, like, Galaxy's Edge 10th anniversary, then I may look into going on Rebrickable and getting it a custom version. Okay. So now this has to pin in on here. And it connects from only one side right now. So now we need to come on the other side and secure it with the other Technic connection here. Okay. So the cockpit top is now secure, and that comes down on the Technic arm like that to close the cockpit. Oh, that was behind the instructions. So that's a pretty cool way to open the cockpit there. You can see that's where Lieutenant Beck is going to sit to pilot the ship, and then the top comes down over him on those Technic bits like this, and then it flattens into place against the top of the ship. That's a cool, secure way to do the cockpit. Obviously, for the exit scene, we're not putting Beck inside because then you won't be able to see him. So now we're going to start to set up some of the side paneling here. So yeah. So this connects, it shows it connecting down here. So yeah, we're starting to do some of the paneling now. And I'll show you when it has me turn the ship around to do the other side. I'll show you these panels. I'll give you a better view because all the action needs to be where I can see it for precise bits like these. Okay, doesn't look like everything jigsaws perfectly like on some ships. Looks like there might be a few gaps on the bottom that won't be visible from display angles. Which is okay given the limitations of the Lego medium. Still a pretty good representation of the general shapes of everything. So this panel, it shows going on to this pin. Okay, that's not aligned correctly, clearly, because it shows this panel. Alright, let me see. I have this assembly over too far one stud. Let me fix that. Yeah. So now that closes properly. And then this panel closes down on top like that. And what we just did basically is we just closed up this side of the ship here. So you can see up front these three little panels. We just closed up this side of the ship. I would assume we're about to do the same on the other side. Yeah. Time to begin closing up the other side of the front of the ship. And then we have the whole middle and back of the ship to start closing up as well. I'm trying to put together, before the month is over, a stream about Israel. I want to avoid religion and politics, but I kind of want to do a stream about Israel because this year is the 20th anniversary of when Dad took me to Israel for our summer vacation. There's no experience for a Jewish person, like there's no experience quite like Friday Night at the Wall. Probably one of the most unique experiences I've ever had. And as important as Star Wars is to me, nothing in Star Wars compares to Friday Night at the Wall. Not even Rise of the Resistance or the Lightsaber Workshop. Okay, so the front of the ship is now closed up. And now we're going to do another assembly here. And there's actually not much left in bag 5. We're moving pretty quickly. There's only going to be about 30 pages of instructions, if that, for the last 3 bags. So I anticipate we'll see some 2X's going on, because there's still a lot of things that need to be covered up here. And we've only got 30 pages to do it in. We have all this middle section of the ship to cover up, and all the engines. I don't know how that's all supposed to take place in 30 pages of instructions, but I guess we will find out. Okay, so this section plugs into the back here. So this is the beginnings of some detailing for the back. Bag 6 begins with a 2X. I called it. Okay, let's put our ship back behind the instructions, because it looks like this is going to be a multi-page 2X. Bag 6, looks like it's going to start with the main engines. Still no astromech droid. And 2 pieces just yeeted onto the floor. But I saw where they went. I saw them go off, and they didn't go far. So let me see if I can get them real careful, like, without knocking other stuff off. There's 1. And there's 2. Okay, looks like we have some more stud shooters going on here. Well, when you're fighting against the First Order, you gotta have a lot of guns, because the First Order has even more guns. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Oh, this was supposed to be a 2x, right? Let me finish this page and then I'll go back and start the second one. Because we go one page at a time when we do 2x's on this channel. And I got caught up in the detailing here. So we'll finish this page and then we'll go back and start the second copy and do the first 2 pages of the second copy, and then we'll proceed one page at a time like I normally do. Okay. Based on the shaping here and the size of the engines, I think this is going to pretty thoroughly cover the most of the opening gaps on the back end. I still think that's a pretty cool how they did the cockpit assembly here. Yeah, if you want my full review on Galaxy's Edge, you can find it in the Star Wars playlist on my YouTube channel. And there's even a little Lego set at the end of that stream. There's the juniorized Pose X-Wing, which is, there is a Resistance X-Wing on display in the Resistance base at Galaxy's Edge. I'm just not sure if it's that exact X-Wing or not. But yeah, my first Lego Star Wars set was actually a Resistance set. And then I had the my second Lego Star Wars set was the Lego Millennium Falcon Christmas diorama with Finn, Rey, Chewbacca, and BB-8. And a Porg. There was a Porg in that set as well. But as of now, I still don't have any First Order stuff. So, with me having the main Resistance cast at this point, I'm going to need to rectify that situation and get some First Order stuff. But there's not any out right now, though. That's the thing. All the Resistance and First Order, all the sequel trilogy era stuff right now is retired. It's not as popular as original trilogy and prequel era, so they don't really make them right now. Okay, so we have a 2X, but the 2X is on a 2X, which means the 2X is actually a 4X. So let's go ahead and build 4 of these little engine blocks, or big engine blocks. These are the main engines. So let's build 4 of these big engines, and then we will attach everything. But we'll build all 4 of the engine sections first before we proceed. So here's what our engine looks like, and I need to build 3 more of them before we proceed with the attaching everything. It is now 10 o'clock. We have been streaming for about 2.25 hours, which again doesn't really matter, but I like to keep metrics. It helps me estimate the lengths of future streams based on piece count and what type of set it is. Alright, just need 1 more of those little engine sections. And now we can attach all these engines to the sections. And it looks like this is also the last page of the 2Xs. So lots of stud shooters on the ship, that's for sure. We have 4 in the front, and then it looks like we have 4 rear mounted stud shooters by the engines. Okay, I caught that one. It didn't eat. Okay, let's finish this up. Let's finish these last bits on the other engine block. And the 2 engine blocks are assembled. Actually, not quite yet. Alright, so this is showing us we have a little more prep work to do before we actually attach them. The actual 2X part is done though, because this is where they start to go into mirror. So we start with 4X of these Technic sections. So let me go ahead and make these real quick, and then we'll figure out how they're supposed to be attached to the engine blocks. Okay, so it looks like axle, axle. Alright, so it looks like do I not... Did I just put these not on the wrong... correct? Oh dear. I just put those round plates not on the correct ends. Let's fix that. These separate, these kinds of plates, the round ones, separate relatively easier than other plates because there's actually a place to put your finger in there. So I don't think I'll need the separator for this fix. In fact, I've already fixed this first engine block. Let me just do the same on this one, and then easy fix. It's not like when you mess up Technic and you have to go halfway back through your instruction book and take everything apart. No, that was an easy fix. Alright, so now let's try this again. So these axles go into the round plates like that. And now we just need to do that with the other 3 attachment sections here. And these are going to be how these attach to the ship, clearly. Make sure they're all pushed all the way in and secure. Yes. Okay. Now with this one, we do this one in mirror. Okay, one more. And then these engine blocks attach to the back end of the framework. Let's see how it has them going. On either side of the blue piece. Okay. So it attaches onto the frame there. So we'll end bag 6, and we still have some major gapping in this back section, along with the whole middle section is still open. Okay, bag 7 will begin with another 2x. But here's the ship. Here's the engine blocks on the ship. There they are. We'll set our ship behind the instructions again, so we have space to build bag 7. We're just going to start with another 2x assembly, which looks like some more engines. Maybe these are more parts of the same engines. Because those engines don't look big enough to power a ship this size, comparatively speaking. I did drop a piece. Where did it go? It was a fairly big piece, so it can't have gone far. I see it. But I have to get up to get it. Did I bump the camera again? Why am I not able to put the table straight? No matter. I don't know why they're holding their blasters right now. There's not an enemy in sight right now. Oh, because the instructions told us to give them their blasters. Okay. Bag 7, let's begin. Oh, we have to get this little bit open as well. So it looks like bag 7 is going to be the rest of the engine area, and then bag 8 is going to be closing up the middle of the ship. The transport bay doors and the top of the ship. So let's begin. Bag 7 begins with a 2X. And this time we're actually going to remember what fell. I heard something fall, but I didn't see anything fall, nor was anything near the edge of the table that I could see. But I found it. Okay. Where is that other piece that I... There it is. Okay. Let's put the pins in, and then we can turn the page and keep going. So we're building another engine assembly now, or pair of engine assemblies. Here's a 2X on a 2X, which means we actually need to build 4 of these. And this is going to be a multi-page 4X, it looks like, so let's get right to it. So this 2x upon 2x making a stealth 4x. This is how we're covering all the rest of the ship with only 15, no, 20-ish pages of instructions left. I had a feeling it was going to throw something crazy at us like this. But it's not that crazy. We've done multipliers before. We haven't done too many double stacked multipliers though. But I remember one time we were doing a tree and we had like a 17x multiplier with a lot of little tiny detail pieces. That was insane. This isn't quite that insane. It's a 4x using bigger pieces. So not too terribly complex. Okay, so let me make 4 of this now, and then we will attach everything. Let me just make 4 of those. And then we will proceed. This is a pretty ship. When it comes to the Corellian style transport ships, I think this might be this might be my favorite. Actually, no. Tantive 4 might still be my favorite. Well, I'm not sure. That one has a nice color scheme when seen in episode 3, but by episode 4, it's reverted to a mostly plain gray, so I don't know. But the Tantive 4 is such an iconic ship. And since this one's from the theme park and not from a movie or show, it's not quite as well known. But still fairly well known. Galaxy's Edge is kind of popular. Or at least it was when it first opened. I've heard that they're trying to find ways to make it popular again because it's been open long enough and they haven't really updated the experiences too much other than adding a bounty hunter game midway through and doing a second generation of lightsaber parts at the workshop. Okay, so I see what it's doing. We need to poke this through from behind. Yeah, that's how it attaches. So let me do that on the other 3. Alright. Here's another sub-assembly that's getting done, so same deal. We'll build 4 of them, and then we'll attach them to the assembly. one more of those, and then we can proceed with the builds. It looks like the next step is just one piece, so we'll go ahead and attach both these engine blocks and the next step. And now I'm eating pieces off the table a lot. We went through over half the build, and now it's like every other minute something is going off. Maybe every other minute is an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. We've dropped at least 4 or 5 things since that first drop. And that one almost decided to jump out of my fingers again, but I caught it. And the table has become crooked again, but you know what? That's not that big a deal because you can still see the action. All right, so let's do these. Okay, that's not going to be very secure until the next few pieces get added. So let's proceed with care and try not to let these bits roll off the table. Okay. And here's another step involving an assembly. And in fact, the next step after this is also going to involve an assembly. But then this is also the last page of the 2X itself. So let me build the 4 of these and the 4 of those, and then we'll just finish everything up. After this, there's only one more bag, so we're guaranteed to meet our final character, the R Series Astromech, in the next bag. It'd be interesting to see if they release more Avatar sets when the 3rd movie comes out next year, given that the Avatar sets didn't sell well. I don't think there will be a wave for the 3rd movie, but one can only hope. I should take a stretching break, but I'm not going to because we're only one bag and about 20 pages away from the end of the instructions. So we're pretty much almost done with this thing at this point. We're just going to power through, and we're going to be just over the 3-hour mark by the time we finish everything. So now the other bit of assembly is just pins going into these bits. So then once I finish putting these pins in, we can assemble everything together for this section. Okay, so we take an engine, and we attach one of these sections, and then we pin one of these sections, and then we line them up so onto these frame sections like this. And now we just need to do that 3 more times. And here's what this round of engine blocks looks like, but I need to finish assembling the other one before we can attach them to the ship. This piece we won't need. Okay, one more engine piece to make. So these are actually going to be the main engines. The engines we put on before are just the supporting engines. So let me turn this around so I can get to the frame. And it shows these going into here. And these will neatly cover up the rest of the backside here. We'll push the engine onto the back here. And I mean, there's still some exposed openings in the back, but it's Lego. There's limitations with the there's limitations with the medium, and even then, they managed to cover it up mostly. So I doubt anyone's going to be playing around near the engines, though. Of course, the box photos And the marketing photos are done such that the gap is facing away from the camera, so you can't see it. But you can see there's some gapping in there and under there. But you're not really going to see this when this is in any sort of display position. You're not going to really see those gaps, especially once the rest of the ship is covered over. So we're going into bag 8 now. And bag 8 is going to start with our droid friend. Our other droid friend. Meanwhile, let's put our ship back behind the instructions again. This is the last bag of the set. So let's start by putting the droid together. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is one of the first order droids that the Resistance reprogrammed to serve as agents. That was a big thing in the Galaxy's Edge story. The Resistance reprogramming first order droids as Resistance agents. This is my 4th R-style astromech, but my first using the R5 style headpiece. My other 3 astromechs use the R2 style headpiece. There he is. That's definitely first order colors. But again, this is an all Resistance set, so it almost certainly is one of those agent droids. So it looks like this bag is going to be about paneling the whole middle section of the ship over. As is the case with bigger builds, where the main build needs to stay on the table because it's actively being worked on, we are running out of build space like we often do. But it's okay, because this is the last bag. We just gotta put up with this for cramped space for a little bit longer. It looks like the ship will have no problem fitting on the table by itself once we don't have to concern with build space anymore. So yeah, this was a nice way to celebrate the anniversary of my visit to the Star Wars galaxy. Black Spire Outpost is such a unique place. I say unique, but technically there's 2 copies of it on Earth. There's one in Florida in Disney World and one in California in Disneyland. And they're pretty much the same. I've been told there's subtle differences, but I'm not sure what those might be. Okay, so this goes on the on top of the Technic framing here to fill in this gap by the engines here. The lower gap I don't think they're doing anything with, though. It's not really practical to put anything down there. It's a one-page 2X. We can deal with this. Interesting. We need one more of those. You know what? I think these are the transport bay doors based on the fact that they have little attachments at the bottom. Yeah. These are gonna go onto these little clips down here. And as you can see, there it is, the little door. And you can pull it up and it closes the lower half of the transport bay. Now I need to come around to the other side of the ship and clip on this one to this side, and now I can close that in, and I can put the ship back down, and we have another 2X. This is again a one-page 2X. It looks like this is going to be the upper half of the transport bay doors. All right, what's going on here? Okay, I see what's going on. All right, we need to do one more of those little sections. This was a pretty fun build. And it'll go on display nicely next to my other ships. We're just getting started with our Star Wars ship collection, though. Like I said, there's some exciting stuff coming before the year is over. Well, some more exciting stuff coming. This is a pretty unique ship when it comes to sources and stuff. So yeah, these are going to go on the upper part here. So back into the camera. It clips on there, onto those clips like that, and then it closes up like that. So, like the Onyx Cinder had, this is a two-step door. You raise the upper portion, and then you lower the lower portion like that, and then you have access into the transport bay. Now let me just clip on the other side and close that up. All right. So now from the side, you can see the ship's closed up from the side, and we just need to close up the top now. Actually, I'm not sure if the top section is meant to be opened, um, but you can if you want for easier access to the lower section. Like this is what it looks like if you only open the lower section. You can see the other side is still closed up in there. So now we put together this crate with two hidden blasters, and these blasters are a bit bigger than the ones they're actually holding. So, secret arms transport. And look, the top of the crate is one of these, the CMF base plates. They've been creeping up a lot in actual builds, the CMF base plates. And this one just will sit inside the storage area on those two exposed studs like that. Anyway. Now let's get back to it. Now we just need to cover over the top with the secret cargo now in the ship. All that's left before it can take flight is covering over the top. And unfortunately, this is one of the ship classes that doesn't have moving parts in its design. So there's no really fancy play features other than being able to open up the cockpit and the transport area. Let me see. And the stud shooters, of course. But you know, I don't use those because that's a good way to lose studs. Yeah. So this ship, compared to other ships, is pretty light on play features. But that's okay because it's still a really cool ship. And it's... Other than the Millennium Falcon, it's the only ship that real people can ride in. Well, other than the Millennium Falcon and a First Order Star Destroyer, of course. And whatever vehicle they use in Star Tours these days, I suppose we can ride in that vehicle too. But when it comes to Star Wars canon ships, there's really not a lot that real people can ride in. They shut down the Halcyon. We're going into a 2X here. Judging on what's left in front of me, this may be the final bit that we're building here, though. And I do see a bunch of loose transparent studs for the stud shooters. So we are going to make the ammo stacks. And they're studs, not tiles this time, which is good, because it means I can get them more neatly organized into proper ammo stacks that are easier to manage than having them loose. And here's some more of these half plate, half tile affairs. Oh, I'm not done yet. Okay, so this goes on top here. And it's only connected by two little studs, which means for this ship, it's like some of the city vehicles and the Speed Champion vehicles, where you can also open it up from the top for easier access inside if the side doors are too small to get your fingers in to play inside. So that's pretty cool that they thought about that. You basically, what you do is, it's there, and then you can attach it in. Oh, and I have it facing the wrong way. It's a subtle difference, but it's there. So you press it in, and then you can fold these down to make the subtle angling for the top. And then if you want to access the ship from the top, if the side doors, your fingers are too big for the side doors, you can just gently come here, pull this panel off, and reach inside, and then you can pull out the little crate with the secret weapons inside. Now, let's put... There's one Galaxy's Edge story I'm still waiting for them to tell, and that's the Resistance Wheelchair Rescue Team. Alright. That shows the stud shooters, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it shows 8 loose studs on the side as well. So, yeah. We're not going to test the stud shooters. But there's 2 wedge pieces here. I missed wedges somewhere. What did I miss? I missed something somewhere. Oh. This back portion. Let me go ahead and correct that real quick. I'm glad I caught that, because they definitely don't give you big wedge pieces as extras. Okay, now that can go back, now that that is correctly assembled. And it's a little better coverage over the gappy areas back there. But yeah, we've pretty much filled in the gaps. The ship's got a nice unique shape. And I think we're good to go to set up the exit scene. Let me go ahead and make some ammo stacks real quick. I'll make 4 stacks of 4. And set them aside. This is what I mean by ammo stack, where I just put the studs together. Am I missing one? There's supposed to be 16 of them according to the picture here. No. They were under the ship. So technically there will be 1 extra, but since the set says you get 16, The extra is going to go into the spare bits bowl and eventually wind up in my spare bits bag. There's some nice pieces in my spare bits bag. There's Aurora's Fairies from Sleeping Beauty, which were on printed tiles. They weren't character pieces. Um, there's a few weapons in there. There's some lightsaber hilts. There's a sword from the gaming set. There's all sorts of printed pastry pieces. So the stud shooters, the characters. Here's an advertisement for the game. And here's an advertisement for the Wave, which these are all retired now. I recognize one of these sets. We did that 501st battle pack with the speeder and the ATRT. We did that a couple months ago. We did that with the newer 501st battle pack, which came with an artillery cannon, and we also did the Captain Rex microfighter. I see General Grievous' Starfighter. Yeah, that's going to be a pain to get. Grievous, they only do rarely, so I'm sure that's retired into the triple digits by now. Let's see, Razor Crest, AT, the AAT. There's a Jedi Interceptor. Oh, the Knights of Ren transport. If I'm going for retired dark side ships, I'd probably go for the Inquisitor transport before I went for the Knights of Ren transport. There's also the AT-AT, and that's the previous version of the Death Star Duel. There's also a simpler diorama version, which looks cleaner and is better for display, but that's the play version of the Death Star Duel. Ah, here's some more advertising. Oh, this is showing you the minifigure selection for each of those sets. Okay. Yeah, you can see in the middle the 4 figures from the one we just did. Yeah. The parts list. So yeah, we're done with the instructions. Let me turn the instructions off and give you a good framing. We just passed the 3-hour mark of stream, so I think we did pretty well with the timing. Let me get some good framing. Brick separator, we're done with. We'll set it aside. And I'm not going to raid tonight because I'm starting to have network issues. So I just want to get this cleaned up and closed. Remember, Luke's not part of the set. You'll have to, I think, his polybag, he's a polybag exclusive character. And I think to get his polybag, it's going for like 40 now. Yeah, he's a pretty popular exclusive character. So here's our ship. Pretty big, comparable in length to the Onyx Cinder. Not quite as heavy. You can open the sides to access the transport area. You also have a nice big engine block, like the Corellian transports. And up front, the cockpit area, you can raise it up, and you can seat a pilot in there. There is some gapping along the bottom, but that can't be helped given the medium. They actually close this up pretty solidly, except for that little bit in the back there. This little bit where the engines meet the center of the ship. Yeah, I really don't know what they could have done there. But it's nice how the angles come together here in this front section. I like this. This was a nice build. Let's go ahead and end stream since I'm not raiding out. Have a good night. I'll have some more Lego probably next weekend. I'm almost certainly doing Mario next weekend. and then a week or two later I'll be adding things to the queue again. I've got so much in the queue still, but it's pretty much mostly Mario at this point. But August, my queue is gonna start getting varied again. So we have lots of nice Lego to look forward to in the coming months on this channel. Like I said, Speed Champions is coming back. There's gonna be another wave of more Mario sets. There's gonna be more Lego Star Wars. Now that I have a ship collection going, I want to keep building these ships. Um, I'm enjoying this fleet. I have. I'll be working on my fleet of city vehicles. I've got Animal Crossing coming up soon, so lots of great Lego in the coming months. Oh, and there's a really nice big Lego set that's I want to queue as soon as I can, as soon as my budget will allow me. But it's on the higher end of the budget spectrum, so as soon as I can, I'll get that. And I'm rambling now, so this was fun. This was a nice way to celebrate my Galaxy's Edge anniversary. I think it's cool that they did make one Galaxy's Edge ship, but like I said, I still want to see the TIE Echelon at some point. Have a good. In fact, after this stream, I'm gonna go on Rebrickable and see if anyone's done one. Have a good night. May the Force be with you, and I will see you soon.